Good day, everyone. For the very first time, we have invited and gathered Philippine marketing leaders for an industry roundtable to discuss brand strategies and creative branding identity and marketing automation. With the Philippines a melting pot of diverse lifestyles, habits, and values, we have roped in brand and agency leaders to share with us how they are best approaching such a vibrant and fluid market to deliver marketing that breaks ground and creates impact. Moderated by Janvi Warzaria, the roundtable was graced by marketing leaders from Cambert, Pilipinas, Canon Philippines, Cebu Pacific Air, Decathlon Philippines, Dentsu Philippines, foodpanda Philippines, Generali Philippines, and L'Oreal Philippines to let us in on the market's unique challenges and opportunities in branding, creative, and automation. Let's take a look at the highlights.
For me, the topmost consideration for the creative is still going to be whether it successfully answers the creative brief or the job to be done. I think probably the additional layer I would add in today's digital world is really more whether that creative gets the job done well in the specific channel or ad format that it was designed for as well.
It really drills down to authenticity because beyond making sure that the material or any communications that we release resonates amongst the market, making sure that the consumer understands it, despite the years of changing formats and channels of content, as long as that creative consideration lies on authenticity, it's something that really resonates to the consumer.
Here at Decathlon Philippines, we're always driven by our goal to sustainably make the benefits and pleasures of sports accessible to everyone. And this becomes a topmost consideration on the creative side whenever we launch marketing campaigns. So that's especially now in today's local narrative. So the message, the identity, and the critical elements, they're meant to be aligned with this, with our overall goal. And of course, it has to be memorable, authentic, inviting, and useful for our audience. And like with marketers, our messages should be tailored as needed to our audience.
Topmost consideration for us are three main things. So number one is, of course, strong and authentic narrative. I think it's always good that while you're considering creativity, you have to also share the authenticity side of it. And at the same time, it goes back to the overall narrative that you wanted to talk about. Second, very important to us as well, is it should be aligned with the business direction. Creativity is one key role of marketing and communications. But at the end of the day, we will always be evaluated with the business results and impact. And then, of course, lastly, as our tagline says, we are delighting our customers always. Every time we think of a creative implementation, a marketing program, or a campaign, it needs to go back to the core message that we wanted to deliver, which is delighting our customers, or delighting you always for that matter.
What's important to consider would really be the messaging to the target market. You have to know who you are talking to, and with that, you should be able to create something that would appeal to the target market because it all starts there. So if it doesn't appeal to the person, like this brand or product you're selling to, if it doesn't appeal to them, if they cannot get the visual or the creative execution of your brief or whatever, then nothing will happen, right?
It all boils down into one thing, which I think is consumer truth. And at the heart of every campaign that we do at Dentsu is about deep consumer understanding. And it is underpinned by insights, not just on the platform, but also, of course, for the people. And this is important because it is our topmost consideration. Without every campaign latching onto a deep consumer insight, I think everything will fall. Everything will not be genuine and everything will not be authentic.
I guess to be specific when it comes to our top consideration when launching a performance-driven campaign is to answer the business need, which is getting people to purchase. We're very fortunate that we are already at the stage where awareness is high. So in every marketing campaign, we focus on purchase-led results. Right now, depending on the objective, but we really look into what would deliver the most cost-efficient yet strategic results in the soonest possible time, especially if we have flights to fill in or new routes that we need to launch.
There are two things that I'm actually looking at or heavily considering. One is actually the which platform are we going to use, or which will give us the best value. In terms of performance driven, it's up to us also on the set budget, but at the end of the day, you would want to make the most out of it. You want to have the great result vis-a-vis the cost that you are actually giving into this marketing campaign. And then the second one is, how does it align towards our long-term goals? There are instances that definitely we're looking into, in a snap of a finger, there's the ROI, and more often than not also we become, short-term minded, but it always has to align to the long-term goals of the company or the business strategy.
What has changed over the years would be the inclusion of social media. It's really now down to the content creators. These PR influencer marketing, these influencers, they call themselves. So it's still the same, you have to drive awareness to your brand. You have to tell your audience what the brand is, your product, why would it appeal to them, to the target market, what's in it for them. The change has been with how you promote the brand, the media available for you to promote your brand or product. Of course, availability and visibility in trade is still very important, because a product that cannot be seen cannot be sold.
With the pandemic that's been going on for more than 2 years already, a new approach that we are doing is that we've gathered a group of people to create what we call Feb Squad. So this is more or less 5,000 strong community of travelers who share their insights and comments with us real time. This is new in the sense that we've come to heavily rely on this squad or this community to get the pulse of the travelers and what their concerns are. Thus, this helps us make sure our communication is relevant and current to answer the pain points that our consumers are experiencing right now. We are very deliberate when it comes to our creatives and or the products that we release. It has to have a purpose, and it has to answer an actual need. We create a very purposive product or campaign, which we would deliver relevant and impactful experiences to our customers.
Consistency and brand identity is very, very important. I think by far that's the top most important aspect in terms of your creatives and your campaigns. But on a side note, it's also very important, at least for me, it's the purpose. The purpose of everything that you're doing in terms of the creative, in terms of your campaign. You want to craft something that emphasizes or, heavily promotes all elements of your DNA, of your brand DNA. So everything must come together. But at the end of the day, the question is, what is the purpose of this element? What is the purpose of you putting that into the creatives? Apart from my own team in marketing and of course the agency that we, in partnership with in terms of the creative, it's very, very important for me. It's really valuable that the Generali Philippines per se, the colleagues that I have within the company, knows the importance of the brand identity, that this is something essential, that this is something that you cannot just ignore.
Coming up with a holistic identity is very, very important, because Canon is not just operating in a particular segment or in a particular region. We're operating in different continents, in different countries. It needs to have that seamless implementation and of course effective orchestration when it comes to brand identity. Right now, what we usually do are somehow summarized into 3 very important things. Number 1 is we are implementing all campaigns based on, of course, the brand identity guidelines. All marketing programs are actually being backed up with data. Data is very much available and it's a marketer's friend. Number 2 is that I think at the core of a great campaign remains to be backed up by holistic planning. Holistic planning in a sense that you have to integrate not just one function in marketing, but that includes distribution, that includes your sales agendas, and that as well building your channel mapping and distribution all over the Philippines. And then of course, lastly, once you have great planning, great implementation, I think every role of a great marketer is to audit, evaluate, and recalibrate. Audit by means of understanding which execution really does work so you can invest more onto that effort. Evaluate is see which efforts are implemented with minimal results, and then of course how you can further improve. And then lastly is of course recalibrate based on the business dynamics, the current industry landscape, and at the same time of course make sure that all implementations are somehow aligned to the business objectives that you all want to achieve at the end of the year.
is really how foodpanda democratizes feedback. So much so that us leaders in the company have to take a step back and really listen to either the interns or the associate managers or even the younger associates. Mostly because we are very lucky that the employees themselves are avid consumers of the product. So when they do give feedback about the product, they're giving it from the point of view as the consumers themselves. We do a lot of testing. We do a lot of model testing, A/B testing at scale as well, mostly because it's what the industry demands.
So as much as possible, we'll utilize the tools available to us. And because of this, we'll be able to deliver personalized and targeted ads to our customers. And this is where automation can help us. Automation really empowers the team to be able to clearly see their next steps and to be able to analyze what's working and what isn't. So this allows us to save time. And also as a business, it's important for us to save money. Automation allows us to be able to make the work not just efficient, but also sustainable for our future customers. Automation, in the end, allows us to deliver the right message to the right people and at the right time.
One thing that we really see automation really helping us in consumer acquisition and retention is, of course, personalization. There are many different ways to make a product relevant to a consumer depending on what that consumer needs are versus any other consumer. And so automation will really help us to automate the creation of many different versions that are more tailor-fit to specific audiences, and in the end will help you in acquiring and retaining that consumer. The second one is in the realm of optimization, and we really see the value add of having the capability to automate enable us to A/B test at scale. The third one was in terms of resources, in terms of just saving the time and the effort. This is also so the team can focus on other more business building tasks, which again will then lead us to getting better at acquiring our consumers.
What a truly insightful discussion, taking us full circle to know more about building effective marketing in the front and back end. This Philippine-focused roundtable is in partnership with Celtra. We're excited to share with you a lot more industry discussions in marketing, so be part of our growing community on social media to be updated with the latest. I am Shaina, and until our next conversation.